What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to open 3 envelopes that I recently got back, and a couple of them are postmarked, and I think I know what sport they are. I think they're going to be football returns. So I'm going to jump right into this first one and open it up real quick, and it is indeed postmarked recently, and it is indeed former Seattle Seahawk great Shawn Springs on 1, 2, and 3. One actually pictures him in his Ohio State uniform, so it's his rookie card. I think all 3 of them might be rookies, actually. I don't know. But I was going through my cards the other day, and I'm like, I wonder whatever happened to Shawn Springs. He's been out of the NFL about a decade now, and I wonder what he's up to. And I've always looked up to him as a player. When I was playing in high school, he was in college and got drafted, and I always thought he was a great athlete. As a cornerback, and a very, very, very good player. So much that the Seattle Seahawks drafted him number 3 overall, which you very rarely see cornerbacks go that high in the draft. So, anyways, Shawn Springs. So, as I mentioned, he played at Ohio State University, drafted number 3 overall in the 1997 draft by the Seattle Seahawks. He spent from 1997 to 2003 with the Seahawks. He appeared in his first and only Pro Bowl in 1998, his second season. He then went to the Washington Redskins from 2004 to 2008, and he finished up his career with the New England Patriots in 2009. Unfortunately, that was not a year that the Patriots won the Super Bowl, so he did not win the Super Bowl in 2009 with the Patriots. However, he did have a very, decent career overall in the NFL. Some of his counterparts, throughout the league had better, overall numbers than he did throughout that tenure of his career, like Aeneas Williams comes to mind. However, he had a very respectable, 12-year, 13-year, NFL career. After the 2009 season, he was released, by the Patriots, and that's when he retired from the game. According to his Wikipedia page, he owns a company called WinPact, which utilizes technology to make helmets for athletes, military, construction, medical, and automotive industries safer. So I don't know if WinPact is still around, but that's a very admirable thing to be doing from a former football player that knows a little bit about using a helmet. If he played his entire career in high school, college, and in the NFL, he's worn quite a few helmets in his life. So to have a business like that that's trying to improve the safety for everybody is definitely an awesome thing. So thank you very much, Mr. Springs. One of the best at Ohio State ever. A great Seahawk as well. And very happy to add those to the collection. All right. This next one is postmarked from New Orleans, and it is indeed one of the best New Orleans Saints ever to play, and that is defensive player Pat Swilling on 1, 2, 3, and 4. Kind of see the small signature there. He writes very finely. I mean, that's very good penmanship. You don't see that too often in autograph signing anymore. I mean, it's almost in every letter autograph, and you can actually read it. So very cool, Pat Swilling. So Pat Swilling, former Georgia Tech football great. According to his Wikipedia page, I was unaware of this. He actually set the record for most sacks in a game, an NCAA record with 7. Wow. I did not know that. I assume that is factual. I'm reading it on his Wikipedia page, but you know how that goes. He also left Georgia Tech as the all-time sack leader at the time. However, he is now ranked 5th in that category. So despite this, he was only drafted in the 3rd round by the Saints. He wasn't a big draft pick. He was, pretty low, the 60th pick overall. That just made him work even harder. He became a Pro Bowler in his 3rd season in 1989. He was in 5 consecutive Pro Bowls from 89 to 93. He was named the NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 1991, which is also the year that he led the NFL in sacks, quarterback sacks. He is a member of the New Orleans Saints Hall of Fame. He was also a member of the College Football Hall of Fame. I was completely unaware of this, but after his playing career, he actually was a representative in the state of Louisiana. So he was in office for 3 years, from 2001 to 2004, in the Louisiana House of Representatives. I did not know that until I just read this. So very cool to add Pat Swilling to the collection. He is one of the greatest college football players and one of the best NFL football players ever to play the game. Unfortunately, he played for some pretty poor teams, throughout his career. The Saints were never horrible, but they weren't ever good during the tenure he was there, meaning he wasn't on the team that won the Super Bowl, the Drew Brees teams, so he's often very forgotten, as one of the best linebackers from that era, because there were so many good ones like Lawrence Taylor and, Brian Cox comes to mind, and, just guys that were just beasts. Just a lot of great linebackers from the era, but I firmly believe that one day they'll look at his stats and say, hey, he's an NFL, Hall of Famer. I just feel because of where he played with the Saints and the Lions, he kind of got overlooked during his career. If he probably was in LA or New York, he'd probably already be in the NFL Hall of Fame. So, nonetheless, he is a college football Hall of Famer. He is a New Orleans Saints Hall of Famer, so very happy to add those to my collection. One of the best ever to play, in my opinion. Okay, this next one is postmarked from Denver, and it is indeed former Denver Bronco wide receiver great Rod Smith on 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, just like Pat Swilling, Rod Smith was a very hard-working football player to get to where he was at the top of his game in the NFL. He went undrafted out of little-known college in Missouri called Missouri Southern State University. That is located in southwest Missouri. Actually, I don't live, maybe a couple hours from it. And he was undrafted, and the Denver Broncos gave him a shot. That just made him work even harder and harder, and he became one of the best wide receivers to ever suit up for the Denver Broncos. He appeared in 2 Super Bowls, both Super Bowl 32 and 33, as John Elway's primary target. He played in 3 Pro Bowls in 2000, 2001, and 2005. He was the NFL receiving leader in 2001, and he currently is in the Denver Broncos Ring of Fame, or their Hall of Fame, and also is a college football Hall of Famer. So, very cool to add Rod Smith to the collection. This, again, might be one of those guys that you look at his numbers, he's been on 2 Super Bowl winning championship teams, that maybe he won't get overlooked, and maybe someday they will put him in the NFL Hall of Fame. But right now, he's a college football Hall of Famer and Denver Broncos Hall of Famer. So that is at least something that he has. I mean, he is, like I said, one of the greatest to ever play the game, in that position. He just had the likes of Jerry Rice playing, during the same era, towards the middle of his end of his career, and hopefully one day, we'll look up at his numbers and say, man, that guy belongs in the NFL Hall of Fame as well. So, thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Thank you, Mr. Swilling, for signing, and thank you, Mr. Springs, for signing as well. I had gotten Mr. Swilling before in the past. However, I have never gotten Mr. Springs or Mr. Smith before, so I'm very happy to add those to my collection. Again, these cards aren't too difficult to come by. You can probably find most of their cards for $1 or less if you look hard enough. And, definitely some great additions to your NFL collection if these are guys, if you collect NFL autographs. So, thanks for your time, Mr. Smith, Mr. Springs, and Mr. Swilling. And thank you for joining me for another episode of Through the Mail Thursdays. Happy collecting to everyone, and stay tuned for the next episode.